and I want to play you this guy. This guy's name is Danelle Siggers. Okay. He has ties to Atlanta and Chicago. And he was kind of short for a guy. He was 5'7", he said. I was 5'7", and he really wanted to be taller. And so he went to Turkey with this company called Live Life Taller. For anybody who want, you can look it up if you want to. And he paid $80,000 overseas versus $150 he would have to pay here to have his legs extended 7 inches. He said in America, they would only make him up to 5'10". And it was extremely important, I guess, for him to hit 6 feet. And so Turkey is like, they'll do it a little bit farther. They'll push the limits is what he said. I'm going to play a little bit of this interview. I'm going to bounce a little bit through it because it's a long one. But I want you guys to tell me, because the first part of it is what stood out to me. Of course, the question is, why would you want to do something like this? Again, this is a guy who paid $80,000 going to Turkey to grow 7 inches.
So there's many different factors that actually influenced my decision to do it. But most of them were the fact that there are more benefits to being a taller man. And I spent 8 years in the military, and I hated the fact that I always had to prove myself. I always had to prove myself no matter what I did, no matter where I went. They didn't believe in my capabilities until I did. But I noticed with the larger men, it wasn't that same case. They just assumed, because we were military, they assumed that they could do their job perfect. Also, growing up, I was a small child. I was small once I hit middle school. Before that, I was one of the tallest kids because I hit my growth spurt early. But after that, it's I was just a small kid. I didn't play sports because I was too self-conscious about my size. I didn't get too good at approaching women until later in my life when I had to reach a point of okay, forget my height, I don't care. So I definitely struggled with height as an insecurity, but unfortunately to me it was that was always my only insecurity. So I felt if I had it, life would be different.
Interesting. There's a lot of having had. You're well, wow, which way is the gene pool gonna lean? Okay, so 5'5". Let's just call a spade a spade. We've heard the women say,
here we go.
As soon as I hear a guy say he's 5 something, I'm not interested. Did that play a factor in this surgery?
Not as much as you would think, because I was pretty good with women, to an extent. Actually, now the women that I've come across have been much different than the women I had before. But I was pretty good with women, but I still had that deep underlying insecurity. Before, I had to boost myself up to go talk to somebody, or I had to convince myself, and it was always that feeling of what if she does decline me because of my height.
What do you mean different kinds of women?
The class of women I met before the surgery were not necessarily on the same level of the class of women I'm meeting now.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Not as attractive. That's what he means.
Mm-hmm. What they do, their occupation, overall appearance.
Appearance.
Interesting. So you think you've pulled badder women since you've gained some height?
I don't think. I know.
Yeah.
9. Then I did my lower legs to become 6 foot.
Okay.
Here, $150,000 to do the surgery because I always wanted to do it twice, not once. I've done it twice. So I did my upper legs. After that, I was 5'9". Then I did my lower legs to become 6 foot. But in Turkey, they have, and they're one of the only companies, it's called Live Life Taller. They have a rehabilitation center where they do physical therapy every day or physiotherapy every day. And they pretty much cater to you in a sense. They bring you everything you need. They help you get back on your feet. And you're there the entire time you go through the surgery. Whereas when I was going to do it in America, they pretty much do all the facilities I found. They do the surgery and send you home. So you're basically left to recover on your own in a sense.
Financially, was it comparable or did you get more bang for your buck?
So I definitely got a lot more bang for my buck because they can only get me to 5'10" in America instead of 6 foot. And Live Life Taller, they push the boundaries a little bit based off your body and how well you're handling the surgery. But here it was $150,000. In Turkey, it was only about $80,000 for both surgeries.
Both surgeries?
Together, yeah. So about $40,000 per surgery. I knew that wouldn't be a problem. As far as how the actual surgery works, which is very interesting, they actually break the bone, surgically cut the bone. They put a rod in it, and they connect a device outside the leg that connects to the rod inside the leg, and you turn a key on it every day for 90 days.
Oh.
It stretches out the bone, the muscles, the tissue. Funny question I always get is, where's the new skin come from? It's just your skin is just stretched out. So imagine muscle. When you grow muscle, there isn't new skin. The muscle is just stretched out. It's the same concept with your legs.
Okay.
Everything is elongated.
What about the pain?
The pain.
The absolute worst pain I've ever dealt with in my entire life. And I was in the military for 8 years and did some unimaginable stuff. So when you first wake up, your legs are so swollen you can barely move after the surgery. They put you to sleep, you wake up, you can barely move. It's excruciating pain.
I'd be like, put me to
most
sleep the
people
whole
regret
time.
it when they wake up. I was one of those people.
Yeah.
But I prayed, and I said I was going to push through it and then reach my goal. But after the first 2 weeks, the pain gets better. They give you painkillers. They give you all these other things, exercises, stretches to help you with the pain. But unfortunately, that first 2 weeks is no escaping it. Like, it's just there. After that, you still have pain, but you get used to it and it reduces significantly.
Mm-hmm. So I still have a lot of things to get into.
Here's
You
the
can
question,
ask
James.
whatever you want.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely, 100%.
No.
My life has changed dramatically since I've gone through limb lengthening, and I'm not even recovered yet.
Mm-hmm. How much longer do you have?
I just started walking about 2 weeks ago without support, but I still use it for safety reasons. So it's about a 6 month to a year full recovery because you have to let the new bone grow in.
Since this?
I don't do sports. I don't really care for sports.
Hold on.
So,
I like how it looks.
It's funny because on the internet, people are saying a bunch
here we
of
go.
different things, but like in my inbox, and I actually have women approach me in public that don't know I went through surgery, and they completely ignore like the fact that I have either this or a walker. Like I've been approached several times since I've returned home, and even like in Turkey, and I was kind of astonished because I'm like, I walk weird right now, like all these different things, but the women who don't know that approach me, like they have no clue, they still do. And then women on my inbox, I assume it's because I went viral, but apparently no one cares that I have broken legs. That's all my response. Like,
so we'll just end it right there. I mean, I could link the article if you guys really want to watch the whole thing. The question that James had seems like his legs would look oddly long relative to the rest of him. Apparently, they measure his wingspan, the arms, and it's long for him. So apparently it looks normal. I want to show you some pictures because I pulled some pictures so you guys know. So here is him before. And then hold on, let me take down this comment real quick so you can get the whole thing. Okay, so see the line, and then this is him after. So, I mean, he doesn't look odd to me.
No, he doesn't.
I mean, he has to do a little bit of leg day, but obviously, I mean, those calves are looking a little skinny, but that's because he hasn't been using his legs very much. This is his bone. Look at that.
So I wonder if when you have your bones stretched out like that, if it puts them if your bone becomes more brittle, if a thicker bone is less likely to break, I would assume.
I mean, I would assume they're compromised, right? Anytime you break something, it's compromised. It's never going to be as strong as it was before, right?
But even if it's just the thinner nature of the bone, right? It's not going to be as thick of a femur as you once had.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. How sad
Leon,
for him.
I know. Leon says, I'm 5'7", Bruce Lee height, and I've always been cut and super athletic. This guy is very handsome, and I think his lack of confidence is what his issue was. I've had strikingly gorgeous girlfriends.
Leon.
There is this in his, I skipped over it. I'm sorry. His dad, 6 feet tall. His mom, 4'10". You can blame his mom. I tell my son, who is shorter, I'm like, you get it from the mom side of the father on the mom side is where you get your height. And we're not tall on either side though. It wasn't a crapshoot. We're breeding short people. And again, the conversations I have with my son and my daughter, I mean, we're short people. It's one of those things where accept it and move on. Yes, people will comment on it, but this is why I wanted to also bring it up. Do you really think that this is going to fix anything if the mental kind of record player in your head, showing my age, is still constantly playing this. You're not good enough. Oh, this is going to fix everything. I mean, on one hand, yeah, he's getting other emails, a higher class of women, the jobs, my ass. It's more attractive women are coming up to you. You're able to go up to the more attractive women. My question though is, and maybe he touched on it a little bit. Were you even going for those women that you wanted to attract, or were you so insecure you never shot your shot? Right. I've said time and again, the most attractive, in my opinion, thing on a man is confidence.
Absolutely.
It's confidence. If you, not cockiness, there is a thin line, not cockiness. You don't want to be an a-hole. All right. Cause a woman can smell a douchebag a mile away, but confidence, like, I have a good job. I know who I am. I love what I do. I love I love everything about myself, not in a cocky way, but a confidence way. I have a sense of humor. I'm kind. Those things that matter. I'm funny.
Chris and I are having a moment where we agree. It's rare. And here it is again. So superficial.
It is.
And do you want a woman who is that superficial that is what she's looking at? And she isn't really liking the real you. The real you isn't the 6 foot tall version. The natural real you was the shorter guy. I guess I don't understand what the problem is with if you're 5'5" and you're a man and maybe you're uncomfortable around taller women. Well, there's a lot of short women out in the world.
Thank you. That was my thing. I'm like, there's tons of short women out there.
And they're gorgeous and they're beautiful. And what did he say? Next level or whatever. There's a lot of next level shorter ladies.
Well, here's a question. And this is why I also wanted to tie this in, because a lot of you are saying, well, if Natalie, why would you even want a partner that wouldn't accept you for the way that you're born?
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So what if you find out, not that your partner used to be extremely short, but that your partner was extremely overweight? And when you met them, they weren't anymore. And then you see pictures, let's say, of them being heavier. And it's definitely not necessarily looking the exact same way. Is it wrong to be like, well, I'm really glad you lost all that weight? Is it wrong to say, well, I'm really glad you got that leg lengthening because that's what I'm attracted to?
There's really nothing wrong with being attracted to a certain type of person. But I would hope that when you marry the person, that it's more than just the looks, because supposedly it's for the long haul and looks go away. So then what you have is you love the actual person, not just the way they look.
Right.
Do you hope that they, take care of themselves or that they maintain the same look they had when you met them? Sure. But if they don't, is it reason to ditch them? That's again, very superficial.
Now, he did bring this up, and I want to get into this as well. Calvin's like, he also said he was treated differently as a shorter person in the military compared to taller people. And then Lori also said, sorry, he's right. I know women who won't even consider someone under 5'10". I'm short, so lucky because most guys are taller. But again, lots of studies show taller people are more successful in life. It's unfortunate. And yes, there are studies that show that. Now, I will also say there is also a perception. Right. Yeah. So were there moments where I'm sure he was in the military and guys were commenting on his height and it was very blatant that that's what was going on? Hands down, that happened. Okay. But are there other instances where because of your insecurity, you're viewing any question about your job or someone turning you down for something of it must be because of my height, or they just questioned you about it? So there's that gray area where how you feel, how you're perceiving the situation and why it had the outcome that it did. You're pinpointing it as, if I was just taller, that wouldn't have happened. When on one hand, it could have, that you could totally be right. On the other hand, you know what? Tall people don't get everything they want. I know tons of tall people that are single. I know tons of tall people that don't get the promotion. Right? Tall does not always equal 100% success. And I know tons of short people, very successful people, very confident. Look at Hollywood. Not to surprise a lot of people, but many of the most highly paid, biggest celebrity people are not tall. The movies make them look that way.
Camera tricks, camera angles. Tricks,
but they're not. And the whole thing, Lori, with women, I won't even consider. I think that's a dating app thing also. It makes it very difficult when you can put in your height, that you can be like, I don't want anyone below this height. Because they ask you, okay, well, how short do you want to go?
Would you date a guy shorter than you?
I mean, God, that'd be really short. I mean, we would be talking about like, like little people height then is what you're saying. Because I'm not tall at all. I'm 5'1". I mean, if someone is shorter than me,
yeah.
Right. Okay. So if it someone my height, oh, hands down, I would date somebody my height. My husband's not that much taller than me. I mean, he's 5'6", 5'7". Yeah. So he's not tall. He is short. But yeah, I don't know if it's because I'm short, but I know short women that like tall guys, and I've dated both. I've dated 6+ and I've dated 5'6", right? Yeah. I like shorter guys, just to be honest, because when you're dancing or making out, I like that I'm looking kind of in the eyes, kind of wrapping yourself around somebody type of thing. I know some women like a guy to be really taller because they want that whole, I want to be engulfed kind of.
I want to feel security. I want to feel like little.
And for me, I like to dance without my neck breaking as I'm looking, right? I mean, I had a high school boyfriend for years and he was 6+. And I'll tell you, looking up at somebody having a conversation all the time,
you get a crick in your neck.
You get a crick in your neck. So,
so I've always been tall. Yeah, well, for a woman, 5'8", 5'9". I think I'm shrinking, so I'm going to go with like closer to 5'8" now. But and it may be superficial, but unless I really like the person a lot and got to know them in a different way, my first reaction would probably be not to date someone 5'5" or under.
Right. But
I just think it would look weird, but whatever. But if I really like the person and maybe
you got to
I
know
knew
them,
yes, then that's
the
different.
Point.
And then I'm attracted to the person, not the height. And again, what you said about confidence is so true.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of our friends, a longtime friend, got married to another awesome guy, and he's shorter than her. Their wedding, everything. He is, and it's not a little bit. He's shorter than her. But they became friends and we did, all kinds of stuff together. And she just fell in love with him. And that's what you want. You don't want it to be a dating app checklist. Yeah. He needs to be this or she needs to be that. And that's boring. And that makes life like an algorithm instead of something that can be created in this amazing thing that we call falling in love with people, right? So I feel for the dude, especially because of all the pain that he went to. His legs are completely broken. And I don't know if the surgery is going to fix what's going on in his head.
When you talked about turning it with a key, it
no.
felt like you're on the rack, like you're on a stretcher. And it reminded me of, I had my daughter has a small palate. And she had more teeth growing in than she had room for. Right. So they had to do a palate stretcher. Like they put a little contraption in and we had to turn it every night, which just stretch the bone on the roof of her mouth.
My kids have the same thing. Yeah.
And it was really painful for her. She was miserable with that thing in her mouth. And every day when she had to turn it, she was like dreadful and she was dreading it. That's like pain light compared to what this guy just went through.
Right.
All in the name of being taller, somehow being more societally acceptable, attractive to women. Really?
Yeah.
I think he's focusing on the wrong thing, but
there's a lot of interesting comments happening in the discussion. Calvin just threw in braces. I think, what are we willing to do and alter in our bodies that's acceptable versus crossing the line? I would say leg lengthening surgery is really extreme. Somebody mentioned earlier it was created for people who were born with different length legs. It's actually a medical disorder, so you can walk properly, right? And then all of a sudden, healthy people that just wanted to be taller were getting it. I think braces, obviously, it's totally acceptable. It's not medically necessary unless it's literally causing you pain because your teeth are so out of whack. But we are totally fine with it. I think breast augmentation has completely been normalized. To an extent, I would say butt enhancements have been normalized, although really not a good idea because you sit on it the whole time. And liposuction, sucking the fat out. Nose jobs, totally normalized. I feel like there are certain things where are we being a little too harsh to this guy because he went to this quote unquote extreme when we do these things to our bodies all the time? And to throw in the weight loss aspect, I mean, the American Diabetes Association just gave a huge thumbs up to things like Ozempic. They're like, it's going to come down to a magic pill, people, that's already in the works where you could pop a pill and lose tons of weight. Now, that probably requires you taking a pill for the rest of your life.
No.
Or an injection. Well, you say no. People take vitamins every day of their lives, Kim. People take supplements every day of their lives.
That's different though than a medication.
True, but
especially
if it
with
keeps
something you could do naturally.
Well, some people can't though. That's what the American Diabetes Association is saying, is that the medical viewpoint on obesity and being overweight is that it's not something that can naturally come off for a lot of people, that it is their body, their metabolism that can cause things like type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, those sorts of things. So if we can bring down the weight to help make them more active and address all the other things, is that extreme? Is it extreme to inject yourself or take a pill every day to lose weight? Are we vain if we want people to do that? If we, we like somebody, but we're like, you could take this pill and I'll find you more attractive. That's kind of sad at the same time, though.
It is.
I would love to live in a world where everyone was just loved for their inner beauty, right, Kim? But the truth of the matter is we judge people with our eyes first.
Yeah.
So I guess my whole point in kind of wrapping up this topic is judging people for the extremes that they go to with their own bodies can sometimes be justified because we as a society, we kind of do it all the time. We really, really do. But I don't think this guy's going to be fixed just because of his leg surgery. I think that his insecurity is completely different. I think the first time he shoots a shot and gets turned down,
he's still 5'5". Like he's still, not that 5'5" is bad, but he still has a mentality of I don't measure up, right?
I don't measure up. There's something wrong with me. If he gets turned down by a woman, or what's it going to be next? Right? Okay, so now you're tall enough, but then is there going to be the next thing that you don't like? Are your calves too small because you have to do all these leg workouts? I was like, his legs look really skinny because he can't use his legs. You can nitpick yourself to death.
I had a bigger problem with his neck tattoo. So,
well, see, there you go.
He would have been out there.
But I don't know. It's a tough thing living in a very visual type of world. People judge people with their eyes. I don't equate height with success. 100%. Yes, studies show, but that's also perception, right? That's the confidence that society gives you automatically. It's a privilege, right, for some people to not even have to wonder if their height played a role in whatever outcome they didn't like in life. But until you get your brain and your inner dialogue straight, the next hiccup is going to be blamed on something else that you're going to want to fix.